Hey everybody, it's Carrie, the Brain Diva, and I just went live on my personal page and talked about a challenge that the church that I used to attend in Evans, Georgia did, and that made me really think about, March is Brain Injury Awareness Month, so we're wrapping up, like this is the last day, and there's so much that I always want to share, like every day. I feel like I need to get on and do a Facebook Live and talk about our brain and how it affects our thoughts, words, and actions. And sometimes I hesitate doing that, but from now on, I'm not. Whenever I have some information to share, I'm going to jump on either my business page or my personal page and just share what I'm thinking or share what I've learned, tips and whatever I can and offer to help. So what I wanted to talk about to wrap up Brain Injury Awareness Month is the fact that our brain controls everything we think, say, and do. And I'm not quite sure how anybody can argue that, but people do. And this month I've had some personal challenges, and when I start to talk to people about those challenges that I'm experiencing personally and the people who are involved, like the people that I love, the first thing I hear, or one of the first things I hear is, oh, that's an excuse. That person made a poor choice, or you made a poor choice, and that's your excuse that it was your brain. And brain injury looks like many different things. Right? A lot of people think that to have a brain injury that you have to walk around and look different or act different, and that's totally not true. Brain changes can happen in so many ways. Like now we know, I was just reading a little while ago how emotional and verbal abuse affect children's brains, and I read that study over a year ago, but it was the first study, and now I'm reading more and more. So that's a change in our brains, whether it's permanent or temporary, we don't know. We're still researching. But that's a change in normal development. So while it might not be a traumatic brain injury like in a car accident, it's changes to the brain, and that affects us as we get older. It's also part of our neural pathways. We have values that are laid down, and those values are developed by laying neural pathways when we're children. What we learn from the age of 0 to 7 or 8 years old. That's how we get our value system. Those are thought patterns in our brains. So decisions that we make as adults, they're our pathways and development that we had growing up. They're our brains. People don't like to talk about it. And I said I was going to get real in this video, and I am. People don't like to talk about the brain. Whenever I start to talk about it, people will say, well, I don't like that because it's an organ in our bodies. It's talking about like our stomach or our liver, and I get that. And people will say, no, I don't make decisions with my brain. I make it with my heart or my gut. Those organs are not capable of creating actions, physical words, things like that. You might feel something in your heart or your stomach or your gut, and that is linked to your brain. Like those feelings, like when I hear certain words or certain sentences, I feel like this tension in my stomach because there's a negative feeling associated with those words for me. But that's connected to my brain. It's all connected. So as we grow and develop and as we're adults, we still create neural pathways, good and bad. We still create experiences in our brain, good and bad. And those influence our thoughts, words, and actions. So brain injury has an influence over our thoughts, words, and actions. It's not an excuse. So I really want people to stop saying that brain changes and brain injury are an excuse. Because if you don't have good blood flow to certain areas of the brain, just like if you don't have good blood flow to your coordination center in your brain, you're not going to have good coordination. You're not. Like, I work with children and I work with adults that don't have good coordination because maybe that portion of their brain is not developed properly, or is still underdeveloped or maldeveloped. It's not their excuse, it's their physiological, their anatomical reason. Similar to if you tear your ACL and you have surgery and you can't jump or cut or something in sports for a while, your ACL torn it's not an excuse. It's your reason. It's your physical reason that you can't jump for a while, until you get it surgically repaired and you go through rehab. So I want people to start looking at the brain as what it is, like our anatomical center, epicenter for controlling our temperature, our heart rate, our organs, our thoughts, our words, our actions. Our brain controls so much. So it's not our excuse. It's our anatomical, physiological reason for so many things. Some children that I work with that have brain changes have trouble regulating their body temperature. That's not their excuse, it's their reason. So when you have changes to the frontal lobe of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, and like teenagers don't have a fully developed prefrontal cortex, their decision making isn't going to be the best or the most accurate, or they're going to need more time to make better decisions. That's not their excuse, that's their reason. So when everybody just said, that's your excuse, you're giving that person an excuse. I'll let you know if it's an excuse, but I'm looking at it from a brain perspective. And I've worked on myself a lot, and I'm still working on myself a lot, because I've had a lot of changes and issues that I've had to deal with over the years. And I don't want to use that as my excuse for poor decision making or bad behavior or whatever. So I'm working with a leadership coach, and I'm working with other coaches and mentors that are helping me develop better habits, better ways of thinking, improving and changing my neural pathways so that I can be accountable for my thoughts, my words, my actions. And I have no excuse. I have no poor pathway to use, or I diminish those poor pathways. So there's so much that I want to continue to share and teach about the brain, and I'm going to. I mean, this is, every time I get on Facebook Live, I say this is just the beginning, and really it is. I'm just beginning to teach about brain injury, brain changes, emotional intelligence, which you have to have a healthy brain to reach a maximum level of emotional intelligence, because emotion starts in the brain too. And emotional intelligence includes thoughts, words, and actions. Emotional intelligence is my focus, but it all starts with the brain. So to end Brain Injury Awareness Month, I want everyone to start looking at their brain as their powerhouse, their epicenter for everything. Your thoughts, your words, your actions, your behavior, what you think, say, do, eat, smell, how you react, it all has to do with your brain. Thank you, and have a great day.